according to reports, Devin Haney has signed a deal with ESPN and Lou DiBella for the George Kambosos fight. Lou DiBella is George Kambosos' promoter, and ESPN, of course, are a broadcast network. And I think that Bob Arum, Top Rank, is involved somewhere there as well. The reason why this is an interesting deal and an unusual deal, in fact, off the top of my head, I can't recall hearing about another deal quite like this. And so what it is that Devin Haney, if he fights George Kambosos and beats him, he'll then, if Kambosos triggers it, be obligated to fight an immediate rematch with him. And after that, if he beats Kambosos again, he'll be lined up to fight Vasyl Lomachenko. But these two fights, the Kambosos rematch and the Lomachenko fight, are contingent on Haney staying at 135 pounds. If he moves up to 140, presumably he wouldn't be obligated to have either one of those fights. And it seems as though Haney wants to move up sooner rather than later anyway. So in a way, it's almost like he doesn't have a rematch clause in the contract. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because how likely is it that he's actually going to stay at the weight if he beats George Kambosos? Because what else has he got to do at the weight? If he beats Kambosos, he's undisputed champion, which means, well, what else is there to do at 135 pounds? Now, you could say, well, there's Teofimo Lopez, there's Ryan Garcia, those are big fights, and therefore he'd be ruling himself out of those fights by moving up, and also, I'm not sure of the time frame. So let's say he moves up to 140 pounds. Let's say he beats Kambosos, moves up to 140. Is there some kind of time frame where the contract expires? I have to imagine there would be, after which he could theoretically come back down to 135 and get one of those other fights against Teofimo Lopez or Ryan Garcia, etc. Maybe even another Kambosos fight if he wanted to. Again, depending on when the contract expires. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. An unusual contract. See, at first glance, people were saying that it looks as though Bob Arum and DiBella have absolutely done Eddie Hearn over here because they've taken one of his fighters and they've put him on a multi-fight deal where he's going to fight Kambosos twice, then he's going to fight Lomachenko, etc. But Eddie Hearn, and by the way, this is a co-promotional thing where because Devin Haney and his dad Bill were very insistent when they signed with Eddie Hearn on co-promoting all their fights. And that's what has happened when they were on DAZN. But Eddie Hearn is someone who likes to give his fighters a certain amount of freedom. And he believes that that will come back to reward him because the fighters will understand that they get the type of freedom with Eddie Hearn that they don't get with other promoters. So it attracts them back. You see it. And so Eddie Hearn clearly is hoping that that's the case here with Devin Haney. And he told Haney, he said, go and fight on another network. Go and do what you have to do to get the fights that you want. If I can't provide those fights for you, then you should go elsewhere. And that's also what he's telling Demetrius Andrade, by the way. This fight that Andrade is going to have with Zach Parker looks like, according to Eddie Hearn, the last fight that Andrade will have. I think it's his last fight on the DAZN Matchroom contract. And he may go elsewhere. He may go to PBC, etc. because Matchroom have been unable to deliver Demetrius Andrade the fights that he wants. You see it. And same with Devin Haney. If Matchroom can't deliver the fights, Eddie Hearn told him, go and fight on whatever network you need to go fight on to get the fights that you want. And again, he's hoping that because he gives people this kind of freedom, that they're going to come back to him because they realize when they go to other promoters, there maybe isn't as much freedom and they make more demands of the fighter and they want more commitment from the fighter contractually and so on. So anyway, all that aside, it's a good fight. Devin Haney versus George Kambosos and a very interesting contract. What do you guys think? If Devin Haney beats Kambosos, will he take the rematch and then go on to fight Lomachenko? Or will he move up to 140 pounds immediately afterwards? Obviously, there's the temptation to take I guess it depends on how he wins the first fight, if he wins it. If he wins it well, convincingly, and it's not even that competitive, then perhaps he'll be tempted to stay if Kambosos invokes the rematch clause because it's another big payday, right? But if it's a somewhat close fight and he manages to get, because remember, this is going to be in Australia, I'm presuming. If he manages to get the win on a split decision or something, it's really close, then I have to imagine it's more likely that he'll move up to 140 pounds so that he won't have to risk taking an L in a rematch potentially. So that's my take on it. Leave your take in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about this situation and let me know what you think about this unusual contract.